Hey, welcome everybody to the Diligent Wholesalers Facebook Live. This is episode number 11, and we have a special guest for you today. Before I jump into that, if this is your first time joining us on our Facebook Live events, we have a very specific mission. We want to show you, open our doors to our business at what we do at the Diligent Wholesalers. These videos include tips on how to grow your business. You can find us for your next investment property. We're going to show you everything that we do in the hopes to show complete transparency, complete honesty in wholesaling houses to real estate investors. So if you haven't already, check out thediligenthwholesaler.com for our latest investment properties. Or if you want our free tool giveaway, a wildly popular tool that we've sent out, overwhelming success. It's a tool that we use every single day, arguably our most powerful tool in our investment analysis. Click on the sign up button on our Facebook page right here. It's on the top left, the sign up button. It's our proprietary repair calculator. Now what this does is it allows you to walk through the property simply by selecting yes or no. And that'll calculate the total cost of the repair estimate for you. So it's a base case scenario that'll allow you to get a very good grip on your repair and allow you to fly through properties, increase the amount of analysis that you do, increase the number of houses that you can ultimately buy. So again, check out the Diligent Wholesaler for our latest investment properties that are fully vetted. We show you every single number from the repair estimates down to the ARV, down to the comps we used, down to the CMAs that we use to find those comps. We show you every single number because we know that if we can provide one good profitable investment to you, you'll come back and you'll want to do more and more business, and really that's our goal. So let's jump right to episode 11. Now, you have done all of the work. You've found the property, you've analyzed it, you've gone through the fix and flip, you have everything. Now, what is the issue? You need to sell it to realize your gains. And selling it is an art, and there's secrets to it. And we're going to reveal with a special guest. We have listing agent, our favorite listing agent, Jim Trautz, with us today. We use him all the time. He gets an average of, believe it or not, 99% of asking price for all of our flips. That's why we continue to go back to him. That's why I highly encourage you, if you are looking to sell your flip for the maximum value, I've listed his direct cell phone number and email information above on this post. I'll also put it in the comments because you're going to want to work with him if you want to have the best to sell your house and realize all of the maximum potential that you've worked so hard to get. So without further ado, I will bring on Jim Trautz, I will bring on Wendell, and I highly encourage you guys, if you're watching live, send in your questions. We will answer them live right now. And if you're watching it at a later time, put your questions in the reply comment. I will be joining and I will answer these live. I will be answering them for anything. So put them in the reply, put them in there. You're going to want to take notes. Listen to these techniques on how to sell your house for 99% of market value. Without further ado, I will turn it on over.
All right. Thanks, Jan. And welcome to the show, Jim.
Thanks, Wendell.
All
Appreciate
right.
it.
So today you will learn how to sell houses in less than 30 days and get 99% of list price. I mean, Jim himself couldn't believe it, but all of our flips that we listed with him, he was able to sell at 99% of list in less than 30 days. So I'm here to basically ask Jim 3 questions, okay, in the next 30 minutes or so, in order for him to share with you guys, you know, so if you have a flip that you're working on right now, or if you want to be, you know, a rehabber, right? And that's why you're part of the Diligent Elite, or you subscribe to our website, thediligenthwholesaler.com. Well, as John mentioned, you can do everything right? You could, you know, you found the right deal, you're able to get a good GC, the project is done, it's finished, and then guess what? You hire the wrong listing agent, and the house just sits there. And then the listing gets stale, and then now you have to do a price reduction. Well, with working with Jim, we haven't had the need for the listing to get stale, no, and we haven't had the need to really do a big price reduction. So, without further ado, Jim, so the first question is, what are the 3 to 5 things that you do in order for you to sell houses in less than 30 days at 99% of list?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is you have to know what your client's intentions are, and you and I have worked together before, and you have to know what is your goal at the end of the day.
Right.
Do you want to sell this thing, or do you want to list it? Because there's a difference between listing a property and waiting for a while to get all the money you can get out of it, or do you want to sell it? And there's a different strategy that you use for both those. If you want to list the property to sell it, then you want to make sure that you're competitive in price. You have to know what the market's bearing. You have to know the kind of people that you think will be coming into that. If you're looking to list it because you want to maximize it, that tells me as the agent you've got a little bit more time, and maybe we can play with the price a little bit more up front as opposed to making sure that we nail it down first time around. So we've done that in a couple of properties. An example both would be on Allegheny. We looked at it. I think you had it listed with another agent. It didn't work out real well. We came back in. You said, look, we need to get this thing sold. So we went through, did a comparative market analysis. We knew that we were against new construction, so we had to adjust for that a little bit.
Right.
And we got the property right where it needed to be. And man, we got something like 28 shows in like less than 3 weeks. So.
Right.
The other thing is we looked at another property on Seton in Joliet, and on that property, we knew that you're trying to get people for rent to own, but we knew that that market really wasn't a rent to own market.
Yeah, it's about
So what we did is we
250,000.
adjusted ourselves right away, realizing that, set the price where it needed to be, and within a week we had another buyer on that.
Right.
So as an agent, I need to know what my client Wendell or John or whoever it might be, what your goal is and what you want to do. So
Right. So
that
that's
would be the first thing. Second thing is I think you need to know your market. I mentioned earlier about new construction.
Right.
If you're in a market and you've got a flip and you come to me and you say, I want to get whatever price it might be for it, I can sit down, I'll do a comparative market analysis, but then I have to look at it and say, okay, this is new construction. Are people going to look at our house and buy our house for $20,000 less, or are they going to go across the street and pay $20,000 more for a house that's brand new? The truth of the matter is that $20,000 is the price of, long term in your monthly payment, the amount that you would spend at, someplace picking up sandwiches, or McDonald's if you have a family as large as mine. So,
Right. Like $10 a month more. Yeah.
Right, and then we look at things like, okay, is this the kind of neighborhood that would be for first-time home buyers? Because that's going to affect the type of funding they have. Or is this a property that is for professionals? So we need to know that as well too. So that would be the second thing.
So knowing your market, because based on your market, then now you know who your target buyers are.
Exactly, and you also know the kind of funding, because that can affect things too. There's some types
Right.
of funding that are a little bit more liberal
The financing.
with regard, with regard and inspections and those kind of things too.
Okay.
So, I think you need to know what the asking price is too. And when I say you got to know what the asking price is, you and I as investor and as agent need to sit down and say, I need to know what it is that you're looking for. What is your goal? Are you looking to make X amount of dollars out of this, or are you looking to get this property sold so you can move on to the next property? So you and I know this when we talk. I always ask you, I say, what is it that you need to get out of this property?
Right.
And what would you like to get out of it? So then what I do is I kind of reverse engineer that a little bit and say, okay, I know what the market's like. I know what kind of buyers are inside here. I know my competition, and I know the what your intentions are. So if I know that, I can market to that.
Right. So combining what the seller's needs are versus what the buyer can bear, versus the target buyer, you kind of go backwards and decide, okay, this will be the list price that will be competitive, and this is how I would market it to attract the right target buyers, right?
Exactly.
And so I remember you sold another property for us, Standish, right?
Right.
And I know Standish, you got like a buyer the week you listed it, and then you got another buyer the following week, right?
Right.
So I mean
Right.
that's pretty good.
Well, in that case, that kind of leads into the next thing is you have to know your property too.
Right.
Because in Standish, for example, we knew what the property would bear. We went through, we did an analysis of whether the prices were going up, if they were going down. We knew what the appraisals were, but we also knew that we had a property that had a basement in it, and a lot of those other properties didn't.
Right.
So we were able to market that property at the same price as a lot of other ones, but we were able to say, look, you get all this extra storage space because you've got a basement downstairs as well too. So you got a basement, it's close to transportation,
Right.
it was walking distance to the high school, it was close to all the other schools, it was right next to Oak Brook, and it became a real attractive offer for people that might not want to be looking there.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so talking about marketing, what are the 1 to 2 marketing techniques that you'd like to share, other than list the house on the MLS? Because I know 99% of agents, the only marketing they know what to do is put the house on the MLS, and that's it. Okay,
Wow.
so hence 99% of agents don't sell properties at 99% of list in less than 30 days, just like you. So
Right.
what are the 1 to 2 marketing techniques you'd like to share?
Well, as you know, I'm also an active investor, so
Right.
I tend to look at things not only as an agent, but from an investor standpoint. Agents always go on the MLS. Everything gets sent to Zillow and Trulia and all the rest of that, and those are the basic things. What we often overlook as agents are things that investors do. Things like social media. I've got a Facebook page that's a personal page. I've got a business page, and so I put my listings on there. I use Twitter. I use Google Plus. I use Craigslist. All the things that investors would do are the same things that I do as an agent, but in reverse when selling the property. So it's not just a matter of getting it on the MLS, because
Right.
a lot of people might not be looking at MLS, but everybody looks at Facebook every day.
Right.
A lot of people look at Twitter. Some people on Google Plus. LinkedIn is another place where I tell people what's going on, and you would be amazed at the number of people that would look at those places, may not be looking on the MLS, and they themselves might not be looking, but they know a friend of a friend who does.
Right.
And so now what you're doing is you
So you
let
get the
social
word of
networking.
mouth marketing through social media.
Right, it's
Yeah.
still the best advertising in the world.
Cool.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
I like that.
So I mean, that's one of the things that I do. The other thing is past clients. When you're in real estate, whether as an investor for 20 years or as an agent for 2 or 3, you tend to build up a clientele.
Right.
And you can do what I call a soft marketing by just saying, hey, I'm an agent. I've got this property that's for sale. If you know of anybody that's looking for something like this, let me know. That does 2 things for me as an agent, and it does a lot for you as the seller. For the agent, it tells people that I'm busy and I'm active, and they know that I'm trying to sell properties.
Right.
For you as a seller, what that does is, again, it's getting the property out there to people that might know a friend of a friend who's looking for something like that.
Right.
So I always go to all my past clients. I tell them I've got a property for sale, and in fact, I sold a property that way.
That's right. So guys, don't underestimate the power of word of mouth marketing. So I know it's easy to get enamored by the latest, greatest guru technique on how to sell houses quickly, but people underestimate what works, which is word of mouth marketing. So thanks, Jim, for pointing that out. So any other tips you'd like to share?
The one last one is, for some reason, agents don't want to talk to other agents. I guess they're worried about competition or
Right.
something like that.
Right.
I find other agents my best asset in the world, because every one of those agents, and it doesn't matter if they're with a competitor like Century 21 or Remax or whoever it might be, they all have got buyers that are looking for houses.
Right.
And sometimes the house they're looking for isn't on their MLS search. But if I send it out to one of them and say, oh, I know Jim, I've worked with him before, and here's a house that he might have, so it attracts their buyers that way as well too. So now I've got social media working for me, I've got past clients that are working for me, I've got the
Other
MLS working
agents.
for me, so we've got all the tools out there to be able to go ahead and sell these properties, and man, you'd be amazed at how quickly people start ringing that phone.
That's great. Those are very, very, I mean, these are not like earth-shattering techniques, right? But again, these things work. You know, I mean, it is true. But when I look back at the properties that Jim sold for us, he sold them again at 99% of list in less than 30 days, which is pretty amazing.
I didn't believe that until you told me.
Yeah.
I had to go back and look.
Right. And then last question in here, you know, so in order to close the deal, listing the house on the MLS, doing all these marketing techniques, yeah, that's well and good. But what I like about Jim is he's also a good negotiator, right? Because we've gotten like ridiculous offers, but Jim was able to like twist it around, and then all of a sudden they're paying close to list price. You know, like an example is the Standish deal.
Right.
Remember that?
Right.
You know, because what happened there was that the appraisal was not as high as what we were expecting, and then you know that deal would be dead without Jim saving the day. So having said that, what are the 1 to 2 negotiation tactics you can share again, so that you know the flippers out there, you know, or those who want to fix and flip properties, right? How can they get the buyers to pay pretty close to asking price?
Well, going back to the Standish deal, the issue was with the appraisals there.
Right.
And this kind of goes back to what I was saying about knowing your property. I knew that our appraisal was a good appraisal because I went back, I did the research, I looked at the price of homes that were comparable in that area, I saw how much they had risen in the last 18 months before that, and I knew that we were at a good price.
Yeah.
I also
the value is like 140, right? That's what we
Right.
Right.
I also I try to make a good relationship with the other agents that I'm working with because they want to make a deal too. So now we both have confidentiality we have to keep. I have to keep your confidence and he has to keep his. But we also both know that they want to make a deal. So what we were able to do is able to go back to him and say, look, here's the reality. The appraisal that we got is a good appraisal. Here's the statistical data for showing that the price is good that supports that appraisal. Here's where our house is better than other houses in the area. And sometimes you just have to be brutally honest and just say, look, if you don't want this, there's 2 other people that I know probably will.
Which is true because you got like
Sure.
so many showings for that.
Sure,
for that
and of
property.
course, you know, I want to be honest and be ethical, and so we make sure we accept one offer at a time and we look at it. But I know there are other phone calls out there. A good deal is always going to be a good deal.
Right.
It's just a matter of being honest with it. So that's one of the things that we do.
Yes, work with the buyer's agent basically.
Work with the buyer's agent and know exactly what your property is really worth. And if I know what the property is worth, and I know that the agent's got a solid buyer on the other side, we got to work to find a way to make it happen. And sometimes you just have to tell them that, again, if they don't want that, that's fine. No hard feelings or anything else. I'll contact the other agent that called me yesterday.
Right.
So
your marketing is so good, you get a lot of prospects, and then the way you negotiate is you really don't beg them to do the, you know, to make the deal work. It's more like, hey, you know, I know you want to make the deal work, you know, but if you don't like it, I'm willing to walk away. So I think, you know, that willingness to walk away, guys, sometimes, especially newbie investors, you might be thinking, well, I'm a newbie, this is my first deal, so I will beg, you know, for the buyer to buy, right? But actually begging for the buyer to buy can actually work in your disadvantage, right?
Yeah.
So,
and
anyway,
here's the reality of it. If the property is priced where it needs to be, and I'm working with an ethical seller, and I'm being honest about where it's at, the price is what the price is.
right.
And so if people don't want that property, that's fine. There are others that will. But you got to know what the price is. You got to know what your property is like and how it compares to others. And you have to be willing just to say, this is our offer. Now, there's always room for negotiation.
Right.
You tell me that we can drop the price, then we'll drop the price. If you tell me no as your agent, then the answer is no. But I make sure that I relay that to the other agent because I've already built up a relationship with him so that he can tell his clients. And then basically at the end of the day, it's up to them to decide whether they want it or not.
Right.
So the other thing is there's a bit of psychology that goes into selling too. Most agents, and this is the dirty little secret of real estate, and people play it all the time, it's not that much of a secret. agents will buy properties typically in this area at about 97% of list price. So what a lot of agents will do is say, okay, I know what my list price is, I know it's a good price, so then what they do is they sell it at, and they list it at 100 or 103%. Then you've got some negotiation room in there. So then when you get that negotiation going, everybody's happy at the end of the day. The buyer's going to get a property at about the price he thinks it's worth. The seller is going to get a property for what he knows it's worth, and everybody's set the same way.
So basically listed just above what you want to get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's a case by case. I mean, you want to make sure that it's worth it, because sometimes, a couple, 3%, on a $100,000 deal is only $3,000. When you start looking at higher prices, then you've got a little bit more. But you have to know what the property is really worth.
Right.
And so it's worth what people are willing to pay for it.
That's right. That's right.
So.
All right. So again, guys, I highly recommend Jim because Jim has made us money, and again, he sold all of our houses at 99% of list in less than 30 days. So if you want to contact him, and the contact info is also on the Facebook page in here. 571-242-3668 is his phone number, and email address is jimtrautz@gmail.com. So with that, I'll turn you over to Evan as to what's next. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you, Wendell.
Hey guys, I'll step aside for a second so you can pause the video and take down all of Jim's contact info. Pause it anytime. Okay. Thanks again for watching episode 11. Just so you know, next week is kind of the holiday time of the year, so at the beginning of 2017, the first week of January is when we're going to come out with episode 12. In episode 12, we're going to cover how to make 2017 your best year. We're going to cover what to expect with the higher interest rates in the market, and we're going to go over more of our tools so that, again, you can make 2017 your best year. Don't forget to send us any deals you have that you'd like us to help you market. And, of course, if you would like to receive the repair calculator, don't forget to sign up at the top of the page. It's on the right-hand side. When you click that sign up button, it'll bring you right to our website where you can download the repair calculator and where you can check out the rest of the current properties that we have for sale. That's it, and thanks again, guys.